Hello guys, welcome to the first night of Industry Insights Week. Here we have what's the name? Is it Dezachu? Oh,
Why does no one ever get this right? It's Dezachu.
It's such a hard thing to read.
Just take Dez and add Pikachu on the end. Dezachu.
Yeah.
Everyone says it. I'm like, guys, come on, let's have a word about this.
It's a very common mistake. Very US.
Apparently.
A very NAPL style mistake. When a certain teenager came into the scene. But yeah, first night into the Industry Insights. Thank you so much for being on here, especially with you being such a prominent British EU caster as well.
Oh, more than welcome, mate. More than welcome.
So, I think first things first, obviously to kick off, and something a lot of people kind of asked, again, your earliest memory in like competitive Siege playing or casting.
Earliest competitive memory was back in the beta when I got a bunch of friends together and we just played in some random Go 4, I think, and I think won 2 rounds all tournament. We got absolutely shafted. I think the only round we won was when we got like a triple C4 kill through copy on consulate. Other than that, it was a miserable time. And then really, to be honest with you, I stopped playing it for a while and then jumped between League of Legends, Overwatch, and then back into Siege, but properly came back into it, I'd say, at the start of 2019. So that's my earliest memory. Probably like one in recent history, i.e. the last couple of years. Watching SI. I just tuned back in for SI, and that was really what got me kick-started in the game, to be honest.
I mean, I feel like SI is just, especially in the 2018-2019 invitationals, were just such a big moment for CG Sports. Because obviously the 2018 had the biggest just flip in any series I think we've seen. And still, for me, remains one of my just favourite games. And then...
No, I think no one forgets that, do they? No, it's one of the ones that stick around forever.
It was just Fabian's speech after they released that video afterwards.
Oh, mate, that and his thing at Raleigh as well.
Oh, God.
Where it's like where Golden Boy called him Pengu and he just went off on one. I was like, oh, yeah, peak Fabian. Loved it.
It's what he was saying just about personalities, especially in just Siege. You just don't get many. And when Fabian kind of stepped out of that shell, no one really took a fancy to it.
Nah, it's a good point, to be fair. I think for a lot of people, the one thing we miss in this game compared to a game like League, because League's my other kind of passion. I love playing the game. I've always followed the scene as well. Like, we do lack personalities like in that game. Like, Double Lift is a player that I think many will know of. Like, you know, Faker, without saying very much, he's always regarded as a dead serious, like, God amongst men. We don't have too many of those in Siege, and I'd always love to see more. But hey, give it time. Maybe we'll see that start to pop out.
Yeah, and a big thing for you, I guess, would be, especially in your Siege casting, would be going to LAN. Was your first OGA pit?
No, I did Dreamhack Valencia back in April, May of last year. That was the very first one I did. I cast that with Stokes and Flynn, actually, and that was a field day and a half. We had a bunch of fire alarms going off, so I had to keep on leaving the hall. But no, we had a game between Navi and LFO in the quarterfinals that went to the third map on Clubhouse. It ended 8-7. And for the last 4 rounds, me and Flynn were just losing our shit. Like, it was freaking brilliant. Like, going out there, being able to travel and talk about another game, like I'd done it for League a couple of times, but to go and do it for Siege for the first time, wicked. Although Split was also great as well. Croatia was also incredible. So yeah, that was great too.
I mean, was the OJ Split the first time we saw a double elim?
Was it?
Because it was always...
Yeah, I haven't got like a massive encyclopedia of every Siege tournament in my head, to be honest with you. I'm sure there was one before, but on like a stage like that, it was one of the first, yes. And EU categorically shit the bed, but here we are.
It's fine.
Wasn't it first round wasn't double elim? It was the rounds after became double elim. So I think for the first round when we all lost, we were out and that was it.
I mean, I think that's where all the confusion came from it. I mean, it's not like EU teams do too much better in current double eliminations. It's not like anyone gets 3-0'd anymore, but it's all in the making, and it's part of just how we grow, especially as a community and as an esport, that we do need to kind of adapt, and changing to that format was probably one of the best decisions, especially for majors.
Yeah, I think for the current majors, given COVID as well, like over the space of 3 days, you get your double elim format. Like, it works out really well. I mean, we saw BDS last major do the, not so much unthinkable, but they came back with the reverse sweep all the way from the lower bracket after losing on day 1. You're never going to get those storylines in single elim. Give it to me. I love it.
I mean, that's kind of the frustration in single elim. It's just you lose, you're out, whereas you got that fighting chance in the lower bracket and has caused some absolute banger redemption stories.
I mean, look at BDS this major, right? First day, get taken to Villa. Don't have the best time. I think they lost, 8-6 to VP on that first map. Come back the next day and have learned what VP strats are. They know how to play against, and they've got their own wicked Amaru execute to win Living and Library. Like, what?
Just to counter that one angle.
And this is what I mean. Like, without double elim, we wouldn't see that matchup repeat itself again, nor would we see BDS get to play on Villa 3 times in the same tournament, with the third one being the time they picked to go to it. Unbelievable.
It's something that it's great to see, and for a team like BDS, they adapt so well between games, whereas other teams, I think, would be better like on their feet. But
yeah, it's almost a story around BDS is that there's a whole discussion obviously around formats in Siege, which is like something you could spend literally hours talking around. But I think for them, they thrive in a best of one format where you can get to kind of a middling map, which is like okay for both teams, but not their ideal pick. That's where BDS really shine, because the other team isn't necessarily the strongest going to that map. Or to see them in a best of 3, they do struggle on some maps. Like Villa was always one they never did too well in. Theme Park, as we now started seeing, is their new permaban in best of 3s. They really don't want to go to Theme Park. So they've kind of acknowledged, okay, we're going to have to learn to play Villa instead. Much to Shiko's delight, I'm sure, given he tweeted out that he hates Villa, but go figure.
I mean, they do extremely well on it, and it makes for some absolute banger of some stories. But yeah, moving a little bit on, like, how do you compare like your first LAN event even to like casting online for the EUR now?
Well, there's lots of comparisons you can draw. One, it's not LAN. LAN just rocks. Like the atmosphere, the people around the event was wicked. Like I've got so many stories I can tell around SI from this year. Like comparing now, being all stuck casting online, it's definitely not the same as being in Paris. Like even for the APAC major back in August when we did get to Paris, like that was way better. LANs in general are always great because you have a live crowd, and probably be another 9 months or so until we see one of those, sadly. We're casting EUL online now. Admittedly, it's heavy. It is 4 or 5 days a week, 2 days of EUL, 2 days of APAC, and then Friday is Challenger League. It is only for 5 weeks. We kind of endure, but it's a lot to do. It's basically a full-time job at that point. It can get quite hectic.
And I mean, like we were talking about before it started, but we've got that kind of dead space now. We have some extra little bits coming on with finals, but apart from that, it's not much in between. So a lot of teams just kind of taking this chance to just kind of reboot.
Yeah, well, this is the time to do it, right? I think under the rule book, you can't make any roster changes until like Feb.
Yeah.
So a few teams are very much so stuck with what they've got now and need to wait a few months if they're going to make a change. So I don't know if I'm expecting it so much. Like an org maybe drops out or something here and looks to make a change because they can't make any roster changes in time, or what they feel happy with. I don't know. But I think the results or the outcomes of the regional finals in December will make it really interesting, because let's not forget Rogue play against Kavana or Eminem. UK Massive, let's go. Seeing how that goes down if Rogue lose, that could be a very interesting couple of months for Rogue.
Oh yeah, and I mean, just looking at the Challenger League bracket in general, you saw Eminem were already in CL, and then you have Koana absolutely demolish their way through the 10th qualifying spot, and then both of them just pummeling their way through, making it to the 2 qualifying spots for EUL.
What I love is it's almost like if this was some kind of weird Disney film, like Eminem are the Golden Prince. Like everyone like loves them, adores them, wants them to do well. And then Kavana are kind of like the outcasts, right? They're the ugly prince with the hunchback that no one wants to speak to and just kind of always tries to hide away in the shadows. And Kavana kind of got done a dirty one, I think, in UKIN, because it came around to the playoffs. They were obviously first seed. They'd beaten everyone in the main season, or nearly everyone. And then they come up against Na'Vi twice, who just perform near their best when they're against Kavana and don't do so hot when they're against Eminem. And then it comes to Eminem winning the quals, getting their spot, and everyone thinking, oh, okay, Kavana are done for now. Like, they're not going to make it. They're coming through open quals. They're in no one's top 3. They finish 4th in Group B. Everyone's like, oh, they're just done for. And then you just really start to see when it came around to the actual playoffs how good they are. Like, I could talk about Kavana all day, and like I've watched so many of the games back to get a real feel for how they play. They are a super solid side, I think, and as long as you see like every player turning up for those finals, they will beat Eminem comfortably, I think.
Yeah, and it's when I feel like when their backs against the wall, kind of, that's when you really see their true colours, and it's like just so great to see, especially for the UK scene.
It's the pressure piece, I think, if nothing else. Like I was speaking to Sloth and Gorgona throughout when they were playing against Penta, for example. After map 1, they were just like, oh, living in their heads rent free. They got no idea what's going on. They're rattled. I was like, yeah, a little bit. And I was speaking to someone about this earlier on. I was saying, I want to get better at the game. Like I'm gold 2 at gold 3 after yesterday's games with Ace, bless him. I was saying I want to get better at the game. He's like, honestly, you just turn adrenaline into a weapon. Don't be scared of the game. Just completely go into it, convinced you're going to beat everyone else, and you'll probably find that you will. And I honestly think, from speaking to Sloth a bunch, one of the players on Kavana, like he epitomizes that. He goes into every game hyped up as shit, like dead set that he's going to destroy everyone, and more often than not does. It's really interesting how much mindset can do for a player's performance, I think.
I mean, it's all about that, especially when you get to the stages where it's the finals, or you got to make your way through that lower bracket, or you're on a stage and it's that the pressure is the thing that gets to you, and it's the team who can put it on their side or the team that is afraid of it.
Exactly that. Yeah, it's as much a mind game as it is an FPS game at its core, right? Like I say this a lot on broadcast. Like you look at best of 5 series over time, and the swings that we saw, BDS versus G2, SSG versus NIP back in the day. Swings happen. Momentum's a thing. Mindset is a thing. And NIP even said in an interview after the finals of SI, they were just like, we just broke as a team. Like Clubhouse halfway through, we just snapped and couldn't get it back together. Happens.
I mean, what a lot of people were asking as well, what do you think of... Well, obviously, UKIN has now got Division 2, and just the amount of talent that we just saw from UKIN last season. And obviously, Koana and Eminem just demolishing the way through Challenger League. And what do you just think of the UK scene in general, especially with all the talent that we have and what we've seen?
There are some real diamonds in the UK. I'm not just saying that because I'm from the region. There are genuinely some real diamond players. I think sometimes on the wrong team. I mean, this could be applied to like Nordics as well, because I cast the Nordic Championship. That was the same story. Some real diamond players, just not necessarily with the right team around them. And I think you'll find as people move teams and as seasons go by and people jump from team to team, it becomes a very, very different story. So what I'm keen to see really is who the individual players are who look shit hot, and then give them a couple of seasons, see if they jump and find the right team, and something could change. I mean, like, who was really like celebrating or shouting out about Blur for the time when he was playing in the UK scene? Now he's gone to Navi and he's their top rated player, ahead of all of the players who have been at the top level for a while outside of Joe. Like, the talent is there. It just needs the right environment to thrive and breed, I think, and give it a bit of time. You'll see some real diamonds coming out of the UK. Absolutely. I
mean, taking an example from another team, especially in the pro scene, take G2's roster move. If you look at them putting... I wasn't even talking about it. I was going with Cryan.
Oh, okay, fair enough, yeah.
If you're going all the way through that...
I feel so bad for Cryan.
I mean, he was put on a role he doesn't play, and then he goes back to Challenger League and just dumpsters.
Yeah, that's the Cryan special for you. I mean, goes on to Chaos and is the only player there that was really sticking up numbers back in Stage 1. Comes into Stage 2, hoping the next one's going to help him kind of recreate what we saw from Diffuse Kids in Challenger League Season 11. Next one doesn't do shit until the final game when it actually doesn't matter anymore. Lucky, I guess. But I feel bad for him because the pressure he got from going on to G2, like, no, that affects every player. I don't care what you say. You turn up into G2, one of the largest known teams in the world, and you have a poor first game, their fans are going to be murdering you, like outright murdering you. So I actually felt really bad for him. I think he was put into a very rough spot where he couldn't thrive. He was inside his own head a bit too much and just couldn't deliver. It was a shame.
I mean, we could have seen a lot more from him, but again, it was that you're joining the kind of the biggest team in like CG sports. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of mentality issues behind that, and again, them coming out saying that it wasn't their first choice, and again, it's got to have some toll.
I remember Fresh, because me and Fresh are really good friends, and I remember him at the time like retweeting, being like, "Oh, trying to do huge things on the team, but you ain't seen what he's doing in scrims," and then he turns up and does absolutely shit. And it's the kind of like, you ever seen the meme about Fresh, like the "I'm not a fucking idiot" thing that everyone always quote tweets? That was just flying everywhere. It was beautiful.
I mean, that's kind of the Siege community in a nutshell, isn't it? For Twitter, it's anything. Yeah. I mean, we've got the R6 events. Twitter, where it's just everything.
What a channel.
To spark some absolute great...
Where the fuck is Split? Santa is absolutely right. Where the fuck is Split? What a clip that was. This reminds me of why I don't play competitive Siege. That's all.
I mean, what is it? It was Canadian's tweet, I think, yesterday or the day before, replying to Donald Trump's, where he's just top white stairs with "Stop the Count" as the caption.
Oh yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, well, actually, good tweet, banging tweet.
It's just you get just such a different atmosphere, and everyone just kind of thrives off each other. It's not. It can get toxic in some ways, but for the majority of the time, it's just everyone is there for the same reason.
Yeah, see, the Siege community is really unique, right? Like, I've been through League for 3.5 years, Overwatch for 12 months. Overwatch was the most, like, PMA, like, everyone's very positive all the time. There's very little, like, attacking people or even, like, banter. It wasn't really a thing. And you look back in League of Legends, and it was very professional, but there was the occasional shitter who just loved to cause a bit of trouble. Yeah. Whereas you come into Siege and everyone is a shitter who loves to cause trouble. Everyone has got something to say, some meme to create. Like, even at the pro level, like, look at Super, for God's sake. Like, he's a real villain in the scene in that regard. It's a very different environment altogether. But it feels so British. Now, maybe this is because I follow a lot of tier 3 and tier 4 players, but it just feels very British. And I think that's what I love about it. Is although there's a lot of BM, there's a lot of bullshit and banter, sometimes, like, tier 4 can be a cesspit to wade through, which isn't really worth it, but tier 3 upwards, you get so much good shit coming out of it. Look at Avage, for example, on Gamma, right? Dude's just like a living meme. I love him.
I mean, that's why we need a major here. I mean, I feel like the crowd energy, especially in the UK, would just be another level, but other nationalities who just listen to any football chant or any football game, and it always happens at esports events here too. Yeah. And I just don't. I think that'll be a whole other issue that we would have here, but it would be one hell of a time.
Remember we had the COD World League thing going on when that was here, and that was like CWL. That was hilarious. Like the chants that came up there, all the football chants, all the schoolyard chants came out. It's brilliant. Same as when we had the World's LCS quarterfinals. Like, well, it was the World's quarterfinals about 5 years ago now for League of Legends. That was at Wembley. Same story then. Everyone was just having a laugh and a joke and taking the piss out of each other. It's just great. We need more majors here. Like, we had Dota, like, sure, but who the fuck plays Dota? Give us a Siege one.
And I mean, yeah, it's just a whole different kind of atmosphere here, and it's only something you really get with just UK people. But yeah,
UK's just great at it. We love our banter.
It's just such a unique scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
So some of the questions from the people. Someone said, "What's it like casting in EUL, and who'd you like to duo cast with in future?"
What's it like casting EUL? It's fun. It's busy. It's 6 hours of broadcast on a Monday and a Wednesday, 7 or 8 hours for APAC on Tuesday and Thursday, then Challenger League on Friday. It is exhausting. It's a bit too much for me. I'd rather do 3 days a week, but hey, at this point, the two are combined, so it is what it is. Who would I cast with? I think next year, given the dream state of being able to choose who I'd want to be able to have around me to be able to work with, Jess or Ace. Like I said, this is the pair of them as well, to be fair. Like, I'd cast with either of them. Ace, I don't think I'll cast with, as much as I'd like to, because we had so much fun at SI together and stuff. Because realistically, and as silly as this sounds, like, you know, there is and everyone always memes about it, the whole diversity thing in a casting team. Yeah. The reason why is it makes it a lot more accessible to watch or tune into, if that is the case. And you know what? Like, it don't hurt me. I still get to cast. Like, people are good casters. I don't mind. I think what you'll see is me paired with Jess and Ace, if he comes, paired with Fluke. That's what I think you'll see. But we don't know yet. We're still waiting to hear from Faceit what the plan is for next year. But I think I'll cast with Jess or Ace. I would like to cast with either of those two. Jess, I've worked with her most of this year and done really well with her. And we align quite well professionally. We get to have some real stupid banter on broadcast where everyone thinks we're flirting with each other. Everyone seems to forget that she's a lesbian and taken, and I'm taken but straight. Like, fine. I mean, me to her, people I could see, but it's just not going to be a thing. I just like taking the piss and making people feel uncomfortable. That's my whole job.
I mean, just Fraser and Jess in general just have amazing just Twitter banter, and it was just It was Fraser's tweet the other day, just responding to some in-game chat, and then just referencing how just Jess taught him everything, and it just sparked just a whole load of stuff.
It's always the way. It's always the way. Yeah, it's all good fun. All really good fun. But yeah, I think either of those I'd be happy to work with. Like, I like working with the whole team. Everyone in the team is good fun to work with. But in terms of actual casting, what I think could get me like another 6 Invitational or the next major when majors do finally make a full-on return, it'd be Jess or Ace.
Yeah, and very convenient follow-up question. Do you miss Ace?
Yeah. We played together yesterday. We went, 1-3, I think, win-loss. Wasn't good. We still speak an awful lot. Like, me and him have always said, like, look, okay, we got separated this year. It's a real shame because we did so well at SI, but it is what it is. Let's just keep on working at it, work hard together, be at the top of our games, and I'm sure at some point it'll all come back together. But again, while I don't know if that is the plan next year, my dream is that he does come and join the UL team, and hopefully he does, because even working with him in a team is always really effective, because we both prep in a very similar way. Yeah, I do miss him. We speak enough to still be in touch, but I do miss casting with him, yeah, absolutely, because we just scream and get excited and have a good laugh, as you should do when you watch a game that you're passionate about.
I mean, exactly, especially if you got that perfect duo, who just where the chemistry is just right, like you were saying, like you and Ace at Invitationals. Yeah.
One thing I think, the reason why I say Jess or Ace, and they are very different casters in terms of style, me and Ace never... So in casting, there's this thing known as play-by-play and colour, right? Yeah. Play-by-play being the one who does the action, it's what I do. Colour being the big brain, the knowledge, the analysis, it's what Jess does. Me and Ace never really had a defined separate role. Like, he wasn't definitively colour or play-by-play or vice versa. It was always just, we are two casters that get really excited. We can both analyse the game and talk about it. We never went like as in-depth as someone like Jess would, because we like to be very accessible. And you'd probably hear quite a lot through our casting. We'd turn around sometimes and pause and be like, oh, so they're picking up a smoke here again. Smoke, if you don't know, has 3 canisters that can deny a zone when it comes around to execution time, blah, 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 blah. Our whole goal was always to try and make it really accessible at a big event like that, rather than going super deep. And although really the hardcores want super deep, for them we just brought a bit of humour, made it a good laugh, and got really energetic. And for a lot of people, that's enough. Whereas with Jess, there is a much more defined role. I am the play-by-play and she's the colour. There's no kind of crossover. So it's kind of weird to me to think about it, to say I'm happy casting with either, given it completely changes how my role plays out regardless of who I'm with.
But yeah, just going off that, I mean, especially if you have so many, and that's what I like about the EUL, it's you guys don't really have, you have somewhat defined duos, but especially at the beginning when you guys were mixing around so much, seeing the different chemistry that people have with one another, and just seeing where people slotted in, it was such a good thing for them to try out.
Yeah, they tried it for a stage, and then I think people were just like, look, just give us fixed duos, for God's sake, let them build some chemistry. And it was like, yep, now's the time. And Ubisoft are happy, we're happy, Face It are happy, viewers, I think, are happy. We'll take it.
I mean, it's created some absolutely iconic duos. Straight out of that.
It's created some iconic moments off the back of it as well. Oh, God.
I mean, you're
calling Jess a cougar on live on broadcast. That was a highlight for me.
Or just straight out calling out Empire that you were just disappointed about how short it was yesterday.
Yeah, I was disappointed yesterday. I mean, there was more to BDS for not putting up a fight. Well, they kind of did. Empire were just better. Kind of surprised me, actually. Really surprised how well Empire played. I thought it'd be a much closer series than that. God.
Yeah. Well, going into more casual side of things, what would you say be your favourite moment with Siege?
Oh, to cast or to view?
We can do one for both.
Because casting was probably that LFO series with Flynn. Because it was my first real kind of like punt in the game itself, casting, and to get to go and do a minor was sick. And for the game to be that close, I remember it all came down to denying construction wall on Clubhouse. It was crazy. And then we had the other day, literally round number 12 of Virtus Pro versus BDS on Oregon, when they were trying to plant inside a meeting, when Shaiko swung around, got 2 kills, died not long after from above or something, or I think he died to the Habana pellets behind him, actually. It was one of those rounds where it just came stupidly close. I remember screaming just like, just shoot him, brother, or something like that. Lost my voice entirely shouting. It was hilarious. Those moments like that, probably because it's also, oh wow, I fried my own voice by saying it. In the same moment, it was just so exciting, but like that, because it's so recent as well, I think that's why I remember it so well. But moments like that where you just scream and lose it in a 1v1, absolutely the key moments. Another great example being Eminem versus Gamma, round 15 of Theme Park recently in EUCL.
Yeah.
That's another brilliant high moment. Like, oh my God, that final round was just everything. I was sat in the other room, like watching the game, just losing my marbles. It was insane. Loved it. So yeah, probably it sounds kind of like bias and like I've got memory problems. I promise you I don't. Just those 2 most recent moments really stick out to me.
I mean, it's always, especially if you have like more recent memories where just get more emotional, just get more excited. It would it would override some of the other ones, but it was, I don't know. What about LAN? If you had to say proper.
Ooh, what bangers to be cast at LAN? Obviously, I'm going to go back to SI 2020, and I think for SI, the greater memory isn't so much the games itself, and more the event around it. So I'm going to actually deviate from this topic here, and rather than talk, I wasn't bouncing the camera like a madman. Rather than talking around the games themselves, there was one night. I'll give you a fun story from SI. We decided while we were there, I think I put it out on Twitter. I was like, look, we're all going to this Irish bar we found. Like, they do cocktails, they do cider. I love cider, therefore I wanted to go there. Never stopped drinking cider since my uni days. And we got a bunch of us going there, and I thought, okay, we'll get 10, 20 people going, sure, why not? And then we took over the bar, and 60 people turned up in the end. We occupied like 2/3 of this entire bar, and we were some of the last ones there. And just kind of turning from person to person, and there was some kind of like siege scarf or an emblem or a fan shirt on, and people just walking up and be like, oh, hey, Des. I'm like, hey, man, what's going on? And they'd just be like, oh, yeah, I saw you post on Twitter, so I thought I'd come along. I was like, no fucking way. Like, there's 60 of us filling out a bar, and the bar staff came over and grabbed me and was like, you're the one who brought this party here, right? And I thought, oh, shit, who hasn't paid their bar bill? They took me over to the bar, and they had a shot lined up, and they would say thank you because, like, you brought 60 people to the bar. And I was like, look, it's totally fine by me. An hour later, they came back to me and pulled me over, and they were like, we've got £150 worth of drinks not paid for. And I was like, I'm not fucking paying for them. Like, I brought them here. I'm not therefore responsible for being their parent and paying for their drinks. Sorry. But I think they took like probably 3-4 grand's worth of drinks from us that night. So they should be happy, to be honest with you. But hey, we'll take everyone back next year and we'll make it up to them by buying even more.
Jesus.
That's my favourite memory of SI. Or going into some random little like meat shop and they do like toasted sandwiches with like stacked. There's like that much bread, that much meat, and then that much bread again on top. It was ridiculous. Like there's so many just cool moments from there. Watching ice hockey in a bar together with like massive chicken wings. The actual event itself, the hotel that it was hosted in was amazing. Snow. We think we have a problem with snow here in the UK. Holy shit. Canada has got it on lockdown, man. They know what they're doing about that. Christ. Oh. Massive like monster machines coming out at like midnight to come and clear it out. They've got wardens with red sticks over their heads like directing the machines. They're dead serious about it. I loved it. It was mad.
It's a different kind of experience, I guess. Especially just being part of the Invitational as well. Yep. How do you think you could? How do you think you could potentially improve Tier 3 and Tier 2? Tier 3 being national.
How could you improve Tier 3 and Tier 2? I think the sort of thing that's going on right now is good. Like Div 2, you might say is Tier 4 leading into T3, which is national Tier 2 being TL. I think T2, I guess we'll start there. Tier 2 could get better by having longer seasons, because I think at this point now we're not going to see CL till September. A little bit long to make a lot of teams sit around and not do anything. Tier 3, I think has actually got a pretty good structure. Like the Nordic Championship ran throughout like all of last year, and then we had UKIN this year had a couple of splits go through as well, like a lot of local lands. But realistically, the way it is now is kind of how it always has been, and it's what built up M&M to become Na'Vi and go on to win Tokonami, for example. I think it works totally fine. There's enough to compete for. You know, Epic Lands now being factored into the equation with like qualifiers into UKIN Div 2. Insomnia might get the same in future. Like the more you can draw on events and smaller like leagues to tie into Div 2 of UKIN, I think is even better. So they're doing the right sort of thing, I think.
Yeah, and I kind of like how, like you're saying, because I was casting the Epic Round Finals, and it's a nice thing just to see just teams have like a different entry into that division, and with UKIN Div 2, especially with it being new, having so many new entry points for teams, kind of just being able to just dominate through, and you had London Esports run off about how they were the gatekeepers for the lower bracket just continuously.
Yeah, like stuff like Epic Land's fantastic. I remember we were there for the first one we did last year back in like March, and there was a 45 round game, 4.5 hour series. I thought like Virtus Pro versus VP the day was long, but Jesus Christ, when the UK players need a break, they need a break, and they're going to take it. 4.5 hours for my first best of 3 was not fun.
Oh jeez.
Sweaty. Whew.
Oh, but yeah.
Luchendi. I can't remember who they were against. Luchendi against someone. I can't remember who it was.
What, in Epic One this year?
No, this is 2019. April one, I want to say. Maybe March. Yeah, it's March.
I mean, Uchende, with their rosters, have always kind of brought they've always brought a fight with them.
Mm-hmm.
They've never really been a team to just duck out.
Nah. I think it was Lucchendi versus Peak, actually.
Might have been. Who did Peak acquire to get in UKIV Div 2?
Ooh, I can't remember what the name. Truthfully, I don't follow it enough because there's so much going on at Tier 1, but I know that they were at some point. Yeah. Oh shit! I just opened up Twitter and Sewer has said, effectively in February 2021, G2 will cut the R6 analyst role and allow me to explore options.
Ooh.
Damn. So he is dropping out. Interesting. Peak. They picked up Jimothy, didn't they? So there was always a joke about Jimothy because he always used to wear a vest when he played. And I was used to say, "Oh, Jimothy Peak in his vest," and I know that it's back recently because I made another joke about it. I don't know I don't know what team he was on or what he competed through, but I know that he's only recently moved back to the UK, so it's a very fresh thing.
Yeah, I think this is about the time where if anyone in chat, if you've got any questions, now's the time within, I guess, moderation.
Yeah, no. Any question you like, go completely nuts. I'm welcome of all kinds of crazy things. Whether it's to do with like how I got started, what's someone's like in the casting team. What was it, Reese Wills? Never heard of him.
Shit.
Tier 4 is its own domain.
It is.
Swear on Twitter. It's like the dark web of the internet. It just occasionally rears its ugly head, and I get DMs from about 5 people saying, "You need to tweet this out right now." And it's like someone tweeted something before, like, "Oh, the king is dead" or something, and I had to get involved. And I was like, "Do I do this?" And I was like, "Fine, I did it." Jess commented, and she just got destroyed by Tier 4. And I was like, "Fucking hell, guys! You just don't know what kind of beast you're dealing with. It's like a hive mind. It's amazing. Like it's amazing and disturbing at the same time, but it's always fucking funny, like really funny.
It's its own kind of drama in a nutshell.
It is. It's incredible.
Oh Jesus!
Ooh.
Some just British questions coming out.
What do you order from Subway? I'll take that one. I always have turkey breast with lettuce, tomato, and cucumber. Normally some light mayo on it as well. Toasted with cheese on hearty Italian bread. Has to be every single time. I don't mix it up from that. No. I'm a pretty boring guy when it comes to Subway, to be honest with you. I just like it plain and simple, but I fucking love chicken, so here we are.
Well, actually, without I'd say national bias, who do you think had the best run through CL and PL? Would it be Na'Vi or Empire through their set?
I'd say I would say Na'Vi for the story. Only because to go on to win Token Army, that was sick as well. For them, because I watched them, and maybe there is some bias because I cast them a lot of it. But to go from being, some rando team with like procs on board that didn't really know what they were, or what they were doing, to then getting saves on board. Kenny came across from practice well after the Challenger League season 10, and then they go on to finally beat Secret after losing to them 3 or 4 times in a row at LAN. And then to go on to win EUL. Then go on to win Pro League overall. The boys are just too good. I loved it. Shame they couldn't go on to go and do it at like SI, but hey, it is what it is.
I mean, they didn't even have Doki on the lineup when they took Tokonami, because he was streaming it from home, wasn't he?
He was banned. Yeah. They had Pi. What a load of drama that was. I love it. This is what I mean. Like, UK Siege is just full of shit. It's fantastic. Hey, Feral's tweet. It's never gonna disappear.
Which one?
You sad little man.
Oh, because there was just so many gifs made out of just his final reaction when they won.
Oh, mate, he was a fucking nightmare at SI. Jesus Christ. Like, there's so many stories. I won't go and tell them all now because they're all a bit, like, risky. But he was just a fucking idiot at LAN. Like, genuinely. Just telling lies, like, running around the scratch, one of the bars there, trying to speak to different girls. I was like, dude, you just look so fucking sad. Like, you're a pro player, stop it. Nightmare. I swear to God, we could go on that forever. Like, I could go on about this forever because it's one of those things that I witnessed him once at a LAN and never had to ever again to know everything else I could say.
Is this when we get a message in that group chat with Doki being like, "Not coming tomorrow"?
This is where someone could say. This is where someone could message me in a bit and say, "So you're no longer working for base it on the EUL broadcast now?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, okay." Nah, they've never said a word to us about. Don't say anything about it, but it's just not worth digging into that much.
Ooh, yeah.
when will they start casting NSC and Newell? I've already cast Newell for like 3 years. NSC I probably won't do because I don't like them. Being dead straight, like there was a lot of shit that went on when NSC first formed up. Newell was kind of the incumbent; they were already there, and NSA basically were pricks to several members of Newell. They poached a bunch of the staff from Newell. I just didn't rate what they did, so I just don't particularly respect them or approve of them.
Yeah, I think from Bossing Bros, did you ever expect to be able to go full time as a caster within Siege?
I mean, technically I am. Like, I heard enough that this could be a full-time job, but the reason why I moved from Overwatching to Siege was because I wanted to do majors and nothing else. I only wanted to do part-time events. But this is because I've got a full-time job. Like, literally the shirt I'm wearing now, on up, this is my company. Software house, I've got a team of 6. You know, turning over decent money. We've got investment in and all that. Like, my full-time job is as the CEO and founder of that business. Casting was always a hobby on the side that made some money. But casting has this horrible habit of when you move game, thinking I'll do it part-time, it'll be okay, just in the evenings once or twice a week. It just fucking turned around and was like, yeah, do you want to come and do a UL? And I was like, well, if I say no to this, I won't get to do majors. So I've got to say yes. So now it's a case of trying to make it work alongside the working responsibilities. That does become a pinch when the normal season is live. But given it's 18 weeks a year out of, 52 or so, like, I'll make it happen. It's a good payday. It's a second job alongside my normal one. I get to engage in being an immature twat in esports whilst being professional in business. I'll take it.
It's the kind of
living 2 lives.
It's the best of both worlds. It's
exactly
you get professionalism in both, but in one it's more, I'd say, relaxed in slight ways because it's you or someone else, and you have that ability to just not let loose completely, but especially if you're in a duo that you feel very comfortable in, it can be a laugh.
Yeah. I think at some point, like, what I'll do with the business, I'll sell the business, I'll quit casting, and I'll do something in esports full time. I don't know what it is yet, but I do want to do something. I just think right now it's full of too many cowboys and teams that feel like they can make it work, and it's like, well, you're just spending a hell of a lot of money here to achieve very little. I'd rather wait and do a proper business in esports one day, but for now, enjoy the ride, shout out some video games, be passionate about it, lose your voice every once in a while. Sounds like the way to go for me.
What else do we have? Players up and coming and players and up and coming casters that you might think have a chance or that you like.
Ooh, it's hard, I think, actually, because I don't see too much of, like, the newer casters, like the ones that are casting. So we've got Grace, we've got Dino, Fraser, Jerry, Rook, and Novocaine. Right, Novocaine I don't know. The others I've all heard cast before. I think Grace and Dean I've heard quite a bit, and Fraser I've heard quite a bit. And Fraser DMs me a few times asking for advice and stuff. And Fraser, I think, he's on the right path. Just needs to be a bit more loose and have a laugh. I'd almost go as far as, and I don't know if you're listening, Grace, I'm sorry if you are, I'd say the same about Grace, is she is so nervous that it doesn't come across well on the cast in people believing in the words that you're saying. If you come across nervous, people are going to believe you either don't know what you're talking about or they'll be nervous for you, which completely ruins the point of you casting. Dino I've listened to a few times, and I think his play-by-play is really good as well, but equally needs to kind of loosen up, I think, and be a bit more jokey. That's probably the biggest thing, I think, around those 6 looking at them, or at least the ones that I know from the lineup, is they've got to learn to have fun. Like, be professional, almost like you're a teacher in, like, a school where you are, air quotes, the authority, but to be willing to have a laugh with it and have a joke. Like, do what I did and post stupid pictures on Twitter of, like, a PS4 that no one else should ever have to see again. No one knows about that, actually, I don't think, for the full level. I'll share it here as, like, a world exclusive. I shared a picture on Twitter of a PlayStation 4 while I was doing a LAN event for PUBG. I was like an observer, and I just had a shower, got out and took the picture. I didn't intentionally take a dick pic, but there was a reflection somewhere in which you could see my penis. Great fucking job, me. Guess who saw it? I'll tell you what, we've already mentioned the player's name who knew about it and saved the link to it for 3 months. One guess at who it could be.
I'm already gonna guess it was the player that you can build on more on. Would it be Doki?
Correct. No, it wasn't Doki. It was Pi. It was Pi who saved the link for 3 months and then sent it to, like, Leon and Doki and shit. And I was just like, are you real? Like, what? Just tell me. Just DM me and say to me, the world can see your dick on Twitter. Get rid of it. Oh, I don't know if to be disturbed or amazed that he managed to hold it for so long. It was incredible. So yeah, that's my dirty little secret from Siege. It's brilliant.
I'm used to setting them alight.
No one. It's like I've always said to everyone, like, because everyone always joke about it on Twitter. I said, look, Cream pie. Very good, Stuxy. I always said, like, I don't care. Like, people can joke about it, and people do still joke about it. As long as it doesn't get sent to Ubisoft or anything stupid like that, I really don't give a shit. Like, I've owned it at this point. Shit happened. It wasn't intentional, so even if they did find out, no one's going to do me for it. But it is what it is. It's funny as fuck. I laugh at it every single day, every time someone mentions it to me. Occasionally, I'll scroll back into Leon's DMs with me, where he basically went on a big one saying something like, he said, bro, sent me the picture. He's like, is that your penis? And I was like, oh my fucking God. And for 5 minutes, I was in a state of absolute horror, like genuinely shitting myself about what could happen. And then I thought, Leon, don't send this to anyone and we'll be fine. He's like, oh shit, Doki saw it. I'm so sorry. I was like, sake. Once he got it, everyone was naturally going to see it. So, you know, as far as like, I think it hasn't gone as far as like outside of the UK scene. Like Demo turned up to Prem once to cast with me, just got his iPad out with my picture on the fucking iPad, and I was like, Demo, why are you saving this to your iPad, you weird man? But shit like this happens. Honestly, it's been such a laugh with that for the last year or so. Absolutely fucking hilarious.
I mean, yeah.
Ask if I'm packing, mate. You'll have to ask my missus. I'm sorry, I can't answer that question. All I'm saying is, no, I'm not the kind of person to sit and brag about that kind of crap. No one said it was small as a result of that picture. So for me, that was a small win.
Oh.
This is not the kind of interview I imagine you wanted, but here we are.
I mean, it was. I mean, it started on the right track, but
it did start. You have to clip the last 5 minutes of it, mate. It'll be fine. It's all right.
It's fine. It. Like I said, it was. That's what our goal is. It's not even just to find the nitty gritty of how hard or how shit it can be. Sometimes there are pros.
What are you talking about there, mate? Jesus. A bit too relevant, that. Yeah, truthfully, esports on the way through, like everyone looks at kind of casters and all sorts as being like hyper professional and squeaky clean, having a super clean brand. Like, fuck off. Like, it's meant to be a laugh. Like, enjoy yourself along the way. Like, we're just humans. We're all into esports. We're all into video games. We're all young at heart. And despite people wanting to sometimes paint a super serious image, it ain't that serious. It's all a bit of fun.
Yeah, at the end of the day, if you take it all very seriously and not really with a pinch of salt every so often, especially with the UK scene, like above all else, it's not really gonna bode too well.
Nah, is it fuck? Like, it's just no point really. Is there like, I mean, tier 4 in itself, you have to be careful. Things can run amok there very, very quickly. But again, no one's dead. Like, it's just fucking around having a laugh with each other. Like, that's what I enjoy the most about esports. I think is that you can, even when I feel as old as I do, but I'm turning 28 in 2 weeks. Oh, literally 2 weeks today. Kill me. As old as I feel, it still brings out the kind of youth of when I was like 18, of like sitting at uni playing video games till gone 4 in the morning. My 2 housemates in first year used to sit playing like Star Wars: The Old Republic and League of Legends until 6 a.m. Look out across from our halls to Tesco across the bridge. When they saw those doors open to announce it was opening time at 6 a.m., they'd leave, get energy drink, go and buy it, come back, down it, play for 3 more hours, and then go to bed at like 10 in the morning. It's brilliant.
It's just a tradition, especially in halls. You know when the shop next to you open, you're outside that door the second. It's not even sometimes, you know, just Rebel Monster. It's just sometimes the emerges or whatever you can get your hands on.
It is, mate. It is. Well, as cheap as possible as well as always the way to go.
Whatever can get it into your system.
Some 2 a.m. rank one night. What rank is everyone? I imagine you're all like high plat, like diamond, right? If you're at least pretending to be semi-decent at the game. But I'm not. I'm dog shit.
Oh.
One, see, I'm like gold 3. I'm dog shit at shooter games, right? Here's a full one. I'm really crap at Siege. I'm not a good player in a shooter game. Put me in like StarCraft or League of Legends, I'll do absolutely fine. Like, absolutely fine. But as soon as it comes to like playing Siege, I just cannot click on heads. I'm dog shit. I'll give you a drone. I can tell you where everything is except for split. But otherwise, don't count on me to do any head clicking. That's the way I put it.
One thing I did want to ask, and I've ever since you wanted to ask you about it, how was not the backlash but the response from the tweet a few days ago?
Oh, the call-outs
one?
Oh, mate, it was so fucking funny. I was playing with a bunch of guys yesterday, actually, and they were just like, we were playing Sugar Fright, and I obviously don't know what they are sweaty. They have call-outs for the map and everything. And I was like, he's in the fucking yellow building. He's like, oh, so low skill though. There's call-outs there. So I was like, fuck off. Nah, like the backlash was unexpected, admittedly. I think out of context is probably where people got it wrong, or like where it comes across wrong. Like, my whole point was, like, as a fucking thing, right? A call out is a piece of knowledge that you store.
Yeah.
Recalling it and using it is the skill, but the actual unit of knowledge is not a skillful thing by itself. It's just knowledge. And that's all I was trying to say. Everyone reads it as making call outs isn't skillful. I'm not saying that. Making call outs is skillful, but the actual call out thing itself is not. And that's what I'm saying. If you remove that layer, take call outs out of the equation, it can be a call of on ping 4 or on ping 2. And it's the same outcome. You're still communicating skillfully and using a call out of a ping, but map call outs themselves is in the actual unit of knowledge. That's what I said wasn't skillful. And no one seemed to grasp that except for very few people. And they were like, I feel really sorry for you now that you voiced this opinion. I was like, yeah, I know.
I mean,
so it was fun. I don't mind it, mate. I love getting involved in a bit of beef on Twitter. Like, I think it's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I didn't realise the shit you mentioned earlier on, that whole tier 4 thing, when someone asked me to retweet the whole "the king is dead" thing for tier 4. In fact, Sturksy, you must know about this if you're so involved in tier 4. What the fuck happened there? I have no idea what those tweets were about. I was just told, oh, just don't worry about it, just tweet it, so I did. And I was just like, suddenly 150 likes, about 20 retweets on it, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Insider knowledge only, sorry sir. Yeah, reasonable. That seems to be the thing with tier 4. It's a black box that no one can get inside of.
Until someone gets pissed off and says too much.
And that's when the real explosions happen, and that's where it can get really entertaining. Brilliant.
Oh, it's
tier 4 on top.
It's its own little ecosystem, and it can be so fun at times. But
it is, mate. It's its own beast. Like, the thing is, everything's like that. Like, CL's got its own little secrets. Tier 3 has, tier 4 has. Even at tier 1, there's always something on the go. It's hilarious. Like, its own little pockets of like drama, and you can just kind of dip inside one, and occasionally when the vat gets too full and spills over, everyone on Twitter hears about it. Fucking brilliant.
Oh, Santa, don't bring that in here. Just the cat jam start.
The Reese the cat jam, yeah, the cat jam.
Oh,
everywhere.
It's
actually leave someone else's message. Someone asked earlier on, I think it was Oni, how did I get into casting?
Oh, yeah.
I think I mentioned it earlier on.
Yeah.
It's maybe to you off stream, actually. I was at uni, started playing League, played my 2 housemates. I was like the highest rank of the 3 of us in like Silver 3. We were banging on about it in a lecture once, and I was just like, oh yeah, Silver 3 last night, I'm really good at the game now. And some guy comes over and is like, you talking about League of Legends? I was like, yeah. He's like, what rank are you? I was like, I'm Silver 3, like feeling all badass about myself, as you do when you're like 18 years old. And he's like, oh, I'm Diamond 3. And I'm like, oh. Suddenly I felt very, very shit and small. But he was like, we're about to compete in a university tournament called Newell. Do you want to come and play? And I was like, yeah, sure. And there was only like 14 teams present at the time. So we were against, I think like UCL was one of them. Manchester was one of them. Cambridge was one of them. There was a couple of like along the way that were in it, but not too many. And we just had some fucking wicked games. I've still got some old clips of it. It's brilliant. But then over time, like, I would always be in their Facebook group, and I still do this now for some of the like the Deads I'd defend quite a lot for this. I was in their Facebook group just being proper like, they don't know how to go at them. Oh, shit tournament. I was like, oh, fuck off, boy. They're trying. They're volunteers. Like, leave them alone. And eventually they asked for a couple of casts, and because they knew me as being this kind of vigilante in the group, they asked me to come and cast. So I did. Just started casting. 18 months I did it for free, like every week to cast in Newell, random little events here and there. And then after 18 months, I finally got my first paid gig at Insomnia, paying like 70 quid for a weekend. But they paid for a hotel and all that. It was wicked. And then from there, it just kind of grew into different bits and pieces. Eventually, I moved to Overwatch because League was just so saturated. Spent half the year living in Kiev. That was an experience. Came back and started doing Siege, and here we are. That's how I got started, just by being a loudmouth little prick in a lecture hall.
I mean, you don't speak up, you don't get. You don't really get to experience anything if you don't. If you stay to yourself, I guess. And someone asked earlier, who would win in a free-for-all between NA, Europe, APAC, and LATAM?
Define free-for-all. Are we going into a public like brawl with crowbars and shit? Are we bringing guns to the party? Are we on about like a TDM on Siege? Like, how tame are we talking?
I'll rephrase it. I'll give you 2 matchups of any team in any region. Who do you think would perform an absolute banger of a match? Best of 3.
I don't really watch much NA, to be truthful. I don't have enough time. I would like to see First 4 weeks, Team Secret of Stage 2, coming up against SSG. Because they are two of the most strategical teams, and one of my favourite games that I still remember to this day from Challenger League Season 11 was Secret against Crazy. It ended 6-6 on Cafe, but it was a strategical masterclass by both sides. I really enjoyed watching it, and I think we get the same sort of game from Secret coming up against SSG.
Oh.
Endangered Inverts Pro Stock and Dome Pasha again.
It's... Again, Tier 4's its own little scene.
I miss I Don't Know and Good Secret. Hey, man. I guess Good Secret during the time of Allied, fair enough. Yeah, they were good. But aside from that, nah.
I mean, it was the Invitationals where with Secret absolutely, which with when they were in Challenger League, just came right through the bracket.
Yeah, and they lost at the last second, didn't they? Yeah, it was a fucking heartbreaker. They were so close.
Was it a Lems that kept screaming Challenger League through over the walls?
I think it was something like that. Yeah, Christ. It was funny. Really, really funny.
Oh. What do you think would be the biggest slip up? Not only from a player, I'll add caster or host as well to this. Not as in like, oh, they really fucked up. As in just like, most entertaining, do you think? Apart from Fabian Raleigh. No, as in like the most entertaining like moment where it didn't go like someone slips up.
Moment.
It can't be Fabian at Raleigh.
Well, it's got to be. It's not really a slip up. It's all the videos behind the scenes of Troy at SI. Because he just screams and shouts. Like, honestly, being in the venue when he was playing against any team was the best. You'd be standing outside. So they had like the layout was like, imagine like an L-shaped corridor. That was a square, not a fucking L shape. But here we are. Imagine like an L-shaped corridor, and at the top of the L was the main room, like a big long square room where all the desks were inside. There was like 6 sets of booths in there plus the production room. Casting room was off to the light side over here, and out here was like the dining area where you could chill out, watch some games, and have some food. And you'd be stood there just talking and chilling, and the doors were closed. And occasionally you just hear, "Oh, get shit on, kid," or something like that, of Troy just screaming from inside the room. And I was just like, what the fuck? And some of them you guys saw on video, but there were just so many moments like that where he just completely loses his marbles. And the best thing was, admins continually kept on telling him, please calm down. And it just like, he just wouldn't. He couldn't calm him. But we spoke around this earlier on, right? Sometimes the false confidence you've got to give yourself. Like, you've got to give it to yourself. Like, if you need to screen to keep your team beefed up and don't let anyone fall quiet, that's the way to do it. And Lycan has said this themselves as well. Like, the thing is, Troy gets so impassioned that you have no time to be demotivated or quiet or not a good communicator. You have to be, because he's always making you laugh and being a noisy motherfucker. And that is what a team needs. It needs a leader. It's fantastic.
I mean, it was a switch between EG and SSG where you really saw just everything come into action, where you see SSG just storm out. I think it took them a bit of time to really adjust, but I think that team can really be just fucking dominant, especially with Troy like up front.
Yeah. It's interesting how for the longest time he was shit. Cause remember when he moved to the team from EG and everyone was just like, oh man, why did they pick up Canadian? He's shit. He can't hit anything. And his ratings were dog shit. They were really bad. And then everyone starts realizing actually his real strength is as a team leader.
Yeah.
And I remember when Kendrew tweeted after Na'Vi got slapped one week. Remember? And he was like, I think Kendrew tweeted like, oh, not this again. Like, it's unacceptable from the team. Like, I can't believe it's like this. And he basically was attacking his team and saying it's their fault. And then Troy came in and was just like, dude, delete this. Like, this is not the way that you talk around your team. And I remember when the season ended and they managed to recover and Na'Vi were like in a comfortable spot again. And he tweeted saying, you know, I really owe a big thank you to Troy. Like, he really reminded me that I'm doing the wrong thing here and being a dickhead of a leader and I shouldn't be like that. That's the powerful things that you want from a leader. Someone who knows that, you know, it's as much a leader's fault as anyone else's when things go wrong, if not more so the leader's fault. So he's like the true aspirational leader that you want in Siege, I think.
I mean, he's been in it since day one, and he's got that experience behind him, and just that following as well. And it's so many people have that kind of trust and hope in him that at the end of the day, especially when that happened, like there were still people behind Troy going like it's just because of this or that.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Hi, Sean. By the way, I see you keep on saying something. I think he wants your notice. By the way.
Hello.
There you go. He's got his notice from both of us now. So whichever one it was, he should be happy.
It's fine because Sturksy's directing their request for your OnlyFans to the tweet.
Sturksy is a true dictator in this chat. I think at least half the messages are Sturksy at this point.
And
Brilliant.
Definitely doing God's work. But yeah.
Doing God's work, mate. Salute you, sir. Fair play.
All right. I think we are almost bang on that hour mark. Is there anything else you want to talk about in particular, or a story or anything else?
Nothing that really springs to mind. If anyone's got any final questions, then throw them in now, and I'll happily go through anything they want to know, like within reason, I guess. Like you say, I can't go like breaking NDA or anything,
No.
but anything around a team or around the season or around Siege in general, crack on. Are we hiring one up? We are technically, but not for a role that I'd probably hire anyone in Siege for.
Oh
We're
God.
hiring someone to kind of come in as like a commercial director, so it's going to be a big boots to fill.
Hmm.
And maybe in future, we'll see. I do normally post, if we are hiring at any point, I do always post it on Twitter so people can apply. I have a degree, I swear.
That's a good one.
Don't always need a degree.
Empire now compared to Empire and Raleigh.
As good as they did last year in Raleigh. You might argue yes, but this is a very different Empire, right? They're not playing the same as they used to anymore. They're not this team that rolls up and goes, oh, we play our way and everyone has to counter it. Like, their drone work in this major was impeccable. They were very, very good at that. They are capable of fragging again. Joystick suddenly decided to wake up, which is fantastic. And they are a team that will adapt now. They don't do the same thing every single time. So I think I'll give it to them. I think they're playing good, but they're playing different, so it's very hard to compare. We need to see, and sadly we won't be able to see it now until, February time, which is a shame. We need to see consistency from them for me to be able to say, yes, they're a better team now than they were at Raleigh.
I mean, it's a completely different meta and a completely different system in place. And especially going up against a team with just that level of aggression that BDS has right now. And it's being able to go over that. It's something we haven't seen them do for a while, but so glad they have.
Yeah, I'm glad that they started to recover a bit, but there's still more work to do there, I think. We'll see. Give it time. Maybe they can maintain it, as long as Joystick doesn't fall asleep again.
Yeah. I mean, that ACS 12 play.
I've just gone to Sturks' Twitter for the fun of it, to see what was going down, and I've just seen his screenshot of the new chat. There's chat history built in.
Oh, God.
It looks sick.
I don't think...
Sturksy.
What's even done?
You're just talking a load of bollocks, of course.
Oh.
This is what I live for. This is what I miss from the uni days, man. I'm just talking a load of shit now. Now I have to have this thing called adult responsibilities. Be sensible because I'm a public figure, and I'm just like, man, I want to go back to the days of just talking mad bollocks in game and not getting in trouble for it.
It's certainly a glorious place to be. It's that little grace period. But yeah, I think almost bang on that hour mark. So...
Do I need an alt account? Yeah, maybe. It'd be trouble, trust me. Absolute trouble.
Right.
Yeah, I'll let you wrap up now. I'll stop distracting you. You crack on.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been... Well, I don't think we expected to go this long, especially just rambling. Like I said at the beginning, we do just tend to go off. But yeah, it's been a great first night, and thank you everyone so much for coming along, especially for our first stream and for the Industry Insight Week, so where we're trying to give you guys another view on professional esports from different positions, from different careers, and it's certainly nice, something that we can help give you guys. But yeah, I've been Peak, and thank you so much, Des, for coming on. It's really a great pleasure to have you, especially on the first night. And
yeah, no problem, mate. More than welcome.
And we'll see you guys.
Catch you guys later.